Okay. Really quickly, 2 years ago, it would never to me have looked like I could ever own my own home. And due to the provision of God and what he's given me through family, church family, I'm like a month or two away. And that is amazing. Thank you. On top of that, he's also transformed me at work, which is also where promotions have come in, and that money has really helped towards that. But I just want to thank God for, through this family, I have been nurtured, supported, advised, counselled. I've had so many laughs. Everything about you guys and my family that God has provided is just overwhelming. Thank you.
I've had an intense pain in my left arm, and I rang a friend up who prayed for me, and after the pain went, and also I've got a new boss who's seeing the work I do, and I've been upgraded in my work because of him.
I want to thank God for Jamie and the youth leaders and the investment in our young people. What a wonderful job they do. It's great to see the young people flourishing. And just yesterday I was looking at the creative album that Naomi November has put together with Ella and Rihanna, I think it is, at the Gratitude Gallery. And in there, a story after story of how the young people have heard from and met God for themselves this year. And I'm thrilled by that.
I'm grateful to God that when I had cancer, I had a moment where I just slipped and felt like my whole life was being painted into cancer, and somebody gently gave me a nudge that said that, hey, your thinking's wrong, and look at what God's using you for. And during that time, instead of it all being about cancer, it became about the people who came to visit me and the things that God did. I remember at one stage I said to God, excuse me, I'm meant to be sick. Because it felt like I was working quite hard, doing different things. And so thank you to that person who nudged me, who made me see that my life wasn't being defined by cancer. I just happened to have it, but now I'm well. Thank God.
I'm just so thankful to God for what he's done for me this year. This time last year, I was not in a good place, and he just pulled me out of where I was, and in his grace and in his mercy just filled me with his love and his Holy Spirit and completely transformed me. And I can't thank him enough for that. For me, this year has just been a turning point in my entire life, and I just can't wait to live the rest of it.
I want to thank God for two things. One, as already mentioned by David Ferrugia earlier, the opportunity to go to Ukraine was such a great experience for me, having never done things like that before, feeling like I didn't really have much to offer, and yet experiencing exactly what David said of just being there with the team and knowing that you can see some amazing things happen when you're working together. So that was one thing, one I really thank God for. The other thing is about my work, having spent quite a lot of 2015 out of work, and God just given me an amazing job. I started in November, and it's just been going really fantastically, so I'm really grateful to him for his provision.
I think same old usual again. She's sitting over there. And I'm just thinking again that just what a wonderful thing marriage is. And I really just want to thank God, because it's one of the best inventions possible. Even better than bananas. It's absolutely amazing. And I think, because if anybody here could think of a banana without ever having invented it, it had to be God. That's why there's God around. Yeah, we know. But I think the other thing is just, again, this sense, people refer to this sense of team. This sense of people watching your backs. This whole thing about if I'm knocked down, there are people who are going to lift me up. I just want to thank God for that.
Just before school broke up in July, we were told that our team was going to be reshuffled and that we all had to apply for our jobs, which is not the right time, really, in my opinion. But anyway, so we were reshuffled and we went through this horrible interview process against each other, which was painful. But through that, God has given me a promotion. So I'm stepping into my new job in January, and it does feel like that broad place that God's pushing us into. So that's one, sorry. And the second one, I was really crying out to God to meet my children, especially Joel last year at Clear Sound. God's met Ben. If you go to the gallery, you see what God was doing with Ben. God's met Miriam, you know. He's really being the father that we need. So thank him.
I had two things. I was going to come up and thank God for the safe delivery of 2 little grandchildren. And I was just about holding it together. And the other thing is that when I gave up my kind of quite big job in 2009, I didn't really know what God had in store for me. And I suddenly realised that the new job I have as volunteer coach at the Hub has given me a complete new lease of life. And, you know, I've been looking for what it is all this time. And I realise that I'm in that just an amazing place. I don't know what he's got next for me, but it's fantastic. And I really thank him for that.
Thank you. This is Lily. And I want to thank God because just before, a few weeks before she was born, the doctors were quite concerned about her size and the implications of that, and saying lots of scary things about what would happen when she was born. And she arrived and she was absolutely perfect with no problems. So I'm really thankful. And also in that I was really very anxious for about a week. And he really met me in that and showed me that I could trust him, and I just thank him for that opportunity.
Well, Andy was sharing, saying that about marriage. Another really good idea that God had was parenting. And I can give thanks that I've got, you know, I was brought up by 2 parents who knew God and brought me up in that. And at the beginning of the year, we didn't know whether by Christmas my mother would still be with us. She was diagnosed with cancer, but praise God, she's gone through the chemotherapy, she's gone through the surgery, and her strength's coming back. You know, and the doctors, when they did that, you know, they said, we're not going for a few months, another decade, I reckon. Right. And she's going for that. And but the amazing thing is, again, she's, you know, they said about the amazing thing is having Christian parents, but she can still challenge you. You know, as a 78-year-old who can go in and say, well, I'm in God's hands. And, you know, he's given me this. Well, okay, well, I'll take it with God and I'll do it with God. Maybe he's put me in there to give some hope to people who haven't got any hope in the cancer wards. And so I give God thanks for that. I give God thanks that she's still here. Thanks for his healing. And thanks for, you know, a Christian mother who can still challenge me. Praise God.
Okay, well, 2 things again. The first one, obviously, it goes without saying that 3 things, if it's including this stuff with Andy, but it goes without saying that marriage is a brilliant thing. But the bit that I've learned this year more than anything is the importance of team. And it's been referred to already, but I've never really, until this year, understood what Christian team is all about. I've worked with other people, I've been part, but this year, going to the Ukraine and then being part of the Hub, it's been amazing. And Julia, I want to thank you in particular, but there have been many people who've come alongside me when things have gone pear-shaped. And it's just been this sense of being carried when things go wrong, of being supported when things go right and wrong, and encouraged to do more. And I'm looking forward to what God's going to do in the future. The other thing that I was going to mention was that in the Ukraine, I saw healing like I have never seen before. It was quite scary, actually. And I asked God that when I came back, I would see that happen again. You heard the testimony this morning. I prayed for Sue the other day with little Anna, with Anna who comes here. So she also got to see that. And God chose to heal Sue's arm. And I'm really excited, and I'm saying, right, Lord, we've seen it happen, do it again. So really excited to see what God is going to do in healing. We've seen it abroad before. We're now looking to see more and more here. Thank you, Lord.
Well, I'm thankful. I've had the most amazing year. I think, for me, God broke through at Spring, what was it called? Clear Sound. Spring Harvest? What the heck?
Wrong church.
Wrong church. That's my other church. Lydia showed a video clip of the Lost Prophets singing, Lord, Keep Making Me. And I was in a bad place, and I nearly didn't get to the weekend, but Darren kindly drove me there. And I was trying to fix myself and get myself organised and trying to understand everything. Oh, God, it was exhausting. And then I watched this clip, and it was like somebody of a canvas, and it was all messed up. And then God just wiped it clean. And I just suddenly understood all I needed to do was to surrender to him. And I've gone from sort of, God's rebuilt me this year, and he's bypassed some of the nutty stuff up there, which is such a relief, I tell you. I could never understand people who didn't overanalyse everything. You know, are they dumb? But anyway, so God set me through there. Very excited about that. I'm very grateful for my development group, because things have been terrible for my dad. He's gone from being able to live independently to being in a care home, lots of hassle with lots of services. And we've prayed for one another in there. I'm seeing God really break through and have been able to carry that in peace, and just loads of stuff. God's marvellous.
Amen.
I just want to thank God for the children's ministry team and all those people that give themselves to that and make what we do with our children so interesting and amazing. And for that team that he's pulled together, and the start that he started to fan that flame with our children at Clear Sound. I think some amazing things happened there. And just as we've gone through the rest of the year, the different testimonies that I've heard and the different ways that God's answered our prayers for different children. And, I was just reminded again, first we pray for the physical. We've seen new birth, and we've had testimony already of new birth in the physical. And we're really holding on to God for that new birth in the spiritual realm as well. And that's what I'm really thankful that God started to do, and started to do something with our under threes and our 3-year-olds as well. And just the faithfulness of Carolyn and Sally, who've taken that little warriors thing and are running with it week in, week out. So just thank God for you guys.
Yeah. For me, there's a couple of quick things. The first one is God's really been teaching me this year about community beyond the walls of the church. And particularly kind of being involved in the coffee shop and things like that. I can't walk down Green Lane without bumping into several people that I didn't know this time last year, who are just people in the community, just neighbours. And it's a challenge to represent God on Green Lane. As someone who's trying to bring his kingdom. And I think there's further to go, but I'm really excited about that journey. The second thing is I'm just so grateful to God that he doesn't let me go, and he keeps me in a place of challenge. He keeps stretching me and challenging me. He's not content with me being comfortable. And I realized yesterday that I love God more now than I did last year, and I'm just amazed and thankful for that he's constantly pulling me deeper into his love. And it means life is an adventure because you're always going deeper. So I'm just thankful to God for that.
Hi, I've been blessed abundantly this year with my relationship with James, which is amazing, and an amazing house, flatmates. That's a complete blessing. But more than anything, after years and years of never having a home and a church family, I have one now. Thank you.
I had to return to work in March after having a baby, and at the same time, James got a new job with quite a significant pay increase, and that meant that I could leave my job a few months later, which was good because then I can stay home with Olivia, which is really significant. But beyond that, I think it's about God showing us how he can just break our expectations and provide for us in just an impossible way, really.
I wanted to thank God for the provision of a house that we didn't think we'd be able to get, first of all, and for the community that God's put us in, because throughout the year I just keep reflecting on the people that we've got supporting us in so many different ways. And I talk to people at work about it, and they say that we do too much with the church, but actually this is where we belong. And I think when we moved, that really showed where we are and the people we're with, where when the moving van didn't turn up till 5 hours later, we had a fleet of people there moving our stuff.
For the coffee shop, of course, it has been a joy, and at times, like a toddler, very much demanding of time and energy, but I think God's got some significant plans for it, and we're just trying to tap into what he's saying about that at the moment. I also want to thank God for my family. It was really great having them around at Christmas time. They are incredibly provocative, my sons, and I'm trying to keep up spiritually, and it's a challenge, but I think I'm getting there.
I realised this week that 2016, I've been in this church for 30 years. I came here when I was 12.
How old does that make you?
74. No. I think the thing that made me think this week, I really thank God he hasn't put me in a support club or some friends. He's put me in a community that are journeying with God. And over the years, I just thank God because he's kept me fresh, because he's kept us fresh together. And as we provoke each other and challenge each other and pursue him, it's just mind-blowing because that's a journey. And every time you think, we've got a bit stale here, we've got a thing, somebody else innovates something or God speaks to them or does something, and that brings me in. And it's that exciting thing of sometimes I'm leading, sometimes I'm dragging, but God is journeying us, and he's on a journey, and we together are journeying. And I just thank God for 30 years of journeying with people who are pursuing him.
I want to thank God that on Wednesday, mine Lucy's baby's due. So that's very significant for where God's brought us. I also want to thank God for his homebrew. The amount of young people that we're seeing really establish themselves in serving in the church is so exciting. Seeing people like Nick Brewer and Peter you heard from, and within the youth leaders, seeing Jeremy and Owen and Ben come up into those positions, and also for the exports. So having people like Jane come and being added to us, and they bring such a great service to our young people. Also want to thank God for the end of Ebola. Amen.
Just want to thank God for, in June, I could have having to catch a bus. I had to go 2 stops, distances. Could barely walk, couldn't walk to the coffee house from my house. And I had a hip replacement in July. And Malachi had a word for me. And the word he had is that he'd see me jumping. And he'd see me dancing. And I think, in 6 months, it's quite remarkable, and it's almost like it's never happened, and I'm really grateful for what God has done. I'm also very grateful for just what God's done amongst our kids, and just being part of that, and being able to share in that, for the new people God's joined to us through Foundation course, for what God's done in Doulos, And I'm so thankful that he's not given up on me too. And he's still taking further forward, and I've still got some years ahead. Yeah.
I want to thank God for a new level of faith, really. He's done so much this year. There's really too much to tell. But with Clear Sound, with the Leaders' Weekend, he gave me and my husband and our family new challenges, provoke different things. And I thank you to the community as well, because everybody's... Just the words we've heard from God directly and through other people, challenges, support, lots and lots of different things. It's made a real difference. We've both got new jobs. Never thought... There's just things that's happened that I never thought was possible. And even in those new jobs, the support, the understanding where we need to take a step back from things, people have been, yeah, that's fine, what can we do to help? And just, I'm overwhelmed, really. And our kids as well. You know, Jenna only said to me this weekend, oh yeah, I learned to speak in tongues at the kids' weekend. I went, oh, you're telling me now? Great, thanks. And David spoke in tongues the first time at the baptisms. And it's just they're giving words. And even with their cousins this weekend, we were telling their cousins about Chat and Catch, and that's a new thing for them. And they were listening. There's just so much. God's given us so many opportunities with friends and family this year. And even when we're really tired and there's new challenges, God said, but I want you to do this and I want you to do that, and made so many changes happen. It's just amazing, really.
What? Going to squish your wife.
Yeah, sure. One thing on that Hilary didn't mention, that when we talked about the Chat and Catch with the cousins, David came down and said, I've got a picture from God. And we said, did you dream it? And he said, no, God gave it to me. And we hadn't done Chat and Catch with him that night, but he came down and he said, this is what God's given me. And it was really applicable for about the change on the inside, not just being on the outside. And we just thought, you know, we talk about these things, but he just came out with it because of something that we've been doing regularly at home. So I really want to encourage all the parents that just carry on doing that with your children, because God's got something from them to give to us too. So I'm really grateful.
I just really want to thank God for my wonderful family, and we've just been together for the Christmas, and having them all home has been wonderful. And I just really thank God for them, everything that He's done and everything He's going to do. And I really thank you, God, for my extended family here, and for the blessing of Curtis and Angel in our house, who is just delightful. And for PJ, who is away at the moment, but that we're just trusting that God's, using and working. And I thank you, as it ripples out, the rest of you, family, the development group, and this whole community. Imagine that we can say that. We can stand here and say, I thank God for these people and these people and these people, because we're so blessed by God for this community and our families. And just in my work this year, it feels like God's kind of taken all these random things that's been my jobs and interests and just kind of brought them all together. And, to the point where I've got a group of Bumps and Babes mums coming up to London to a Royal College of Midwives think tank, because, they represent the view of childbearing women in this country at the Royal College of Midwives. God's done some amazing things, and something I've never experienced before this year was, in response to some things in Sierra Leone, God downloaded just a plan into my head of something that we could do. And the way that God worked it out was that something which really should have been a whole big piece of work was just done so easily. And we're just looking to God for what He's going to use that for. But I've never experienced that before, that whole kind of plop in your head plan that then you just let God carry out, which has been amazing. Lots of things. So thank you, God.
The line's looking a bit thin. You are not going to get a third round. So there are only 2 waves. Once we go back into praise and worship, you've lost it. So if you want to get onto the line, make sure you get up there. That's it. A few lazy bones there.
Cool.
There's, I think, a few things that me and Abigail want to thank God for, and I think they're sort of surmised in doulos. It's been a very formative year for us, and the richness that has followed through in the process of doing doulos and actually following doulos. But just a couple of things to pick out. I think the team, we just bonded so closely. I think people talked already this morning about team, the power of team, but the people that we had together and working together was really fantastic. Those relationships have lasted. Obviously, Cloud and Augusto significantly. And just being involved in their lives is just an honour, and we're just so excited to see what's God continue to do with those guys. I think particularly there was a word over me and Abigail at the beginning of Doulos that it was going to set the trajectory for our lives, where we go next, and we've really seen that play out. So now we've got the opportunity, following the projects that we're both now doing, Midweek Invaders, which is an incredible opportunity, getting to work alongside those fantastic kids. They are fantastic kids. And that's such a wonderful thing for us to kind of partner together and build team, working alongside Dan with that. That's just been fantastic. Was there anything else? My thumbprint doesn't work. I think just all those things together, we just really feel like we've been strengthened in that process, and we're really driving forward, looking forward to this year.
I just wanted to say, since I've been over here, I've been getting happier and happier all the time. And I'm so thankful to everyone, and also for God for his presence. And just God wants to say good things ahead for people. Yeah. Amen.
I'm very thankful for my wife and child, and the community, and especially doulos, that kicked the start for the changes in my life. New work, new friends. Had a not great credit rating on my bank history, but we managed to get the mortgage and new house. I'm very thankful for the community, really. Thank you.
I'm grateful because we've been praying for my daughter, who I'd lost contact with for 18 months. She got in touch with me. She was potentially homeless then. When I couldn't help her, because the first night I kept her, my son was getting aggressive, so I'd give her to, go to the police station. And then one of my dear sisters took care of her for a few days until she actually found somewhere temporary to stay. And then since then we've been building our relationship up. And she actually came to me for Christmas Day, and her brother actually wished her a Merry Christmas. So I'm thanking God for that. He's building the relationship back up. And one day they will be brother and sister again.
I'd like to thank God for two particular things this year. When I broke my foot, I had lots of friends and family come to help me, and I don't like being on my own particularly, and I certainly wasn't. I had to put people down in the diary to give them time to come. It was really lovely. And also, with my job, I've never felt I fitted in a job so well as I do in this job. I feel like a round hole peg in the round hole instead of a square peg in the round hole. So I really feel thank you. The hub's so good, so nice to work at, and a lovely team atmosphere, and it's lovely to see people's lives change, Okay.
I just want to thank God for two things really quickly. Firstly, clear sound. I really wasn't expecting to step up and get involved as much as I did in clear sound. I just remember the Friday night, I was really ill, I was really nervous, I was throwing a strop, I was shouting at the door, and I was saying, I can't go, I can't do this, I can never do this. But actually God did something in me amazingly, just to be able to do what he's asked me to do, and I thank God for that. I thank God also for my wife. I just want to thank God because when I came back to Lifeline, I really had given up on marriage. I'd had a really bad relationship before, and I just thought, that's it for me. But God just does something amazing, doesn't he? And now we're having a baby in May. Thank you.
Yeah, at work I was feeling prompted by God to pray for my patients, and I would stand there and think, no, I can't do that, God, thank you, not here. And so I didn't. I might go away and pray for them. And then I was prayed for by the house group, etc. And I found that I've found now that I'm praying for probably 2 or 3 patients a week. And I just find that people, I mean, they're only with me for a short time, but they kind of pour out all sorts of things to me. And I just thank God for just, using me in that way. And I'm just able to pray for them. It's amazing.
I realised before Christmas that I'd really got quite low emotionally and was just not really feeling very hopeful about life, and it's just not like me, really. And we've spent some time praying, and over the last few days I feel God has really reminded me of something that's just so important for us all, that actually He's made us alive. And I want to read from the Message. It wasn't so long ago that you were mired in that old stagnant life of sin. You let the world, which doesn't know the first thing about living, tell you how to live. You filled your lungs with polluted unbelief and then exhaled disobedience. We all did it, all of us doing what we felt like doing when we felt like doing it, all of us in the same boat. It's a wonder God didn't lose his temper and do away with the whole lot of us. Instead, immense in mercy and with an incredible love, he embraced us. He took our sin-dead lives and made us alive in Christ. He did all of this on his own with no help from us. Then he picked us up and set us down in highest heaven in company with Jesus, our Messiah. And I just want to thank God, because I feel like my heart had got hard and cold, and he's reminded me of what he's done for us. And I know it's only been a few days, but I'm feeling that transformation, and I'm so grateful again for what he did when he died for us and rose again.
My wife has many words, I'll just have a few. I just want to say thank you, God, that I can use the phrase, I'm enjoying my work. I want to thank God for my amazing family. I want to thank God for Christina and for Owen, Lydia and Isabel. I want to thank God because he's at work in each of our lives, and he's put us into the community where there are different ones of you that speak into each of our lives and have challenged us at the right time with the right word, and sometimes not always at exactly the right time, but but actually where they are now, I can see that God is at work in each of them and in me. And that's an amazing thing, to know that we're part of a community where people are pouring out week in, week out to different parts of our work amongst children and the youth. But you're doing a fantastic thing, because I see my children and I see what God has done in them, and so I'm really excited about that. And I'm really excited too that God still speaks to me personally. This year's been a really challenging year. Some decisions are needed to make, but God spoke to me very personally about the way ahead for my work and what I should be doing. And it was really clear. I couldn't argue with him, so I've done what he said. But that's the point. We have a Father who cares for us, a good Father who cares for us. And I'm so thankful for that. Thank you, Lord. Amen.
Okay, I think I'm going to have to call time on the line now, so we're going to do this group and then we're going to go back into some praise and worship. If you've not had an opportunity to share a testimony, there will be more opportunity during the week at the prayer meetings, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so do come along and do that.
I just thank you, God. 2015, God gave me many very colorful life. But I very thank you for God in the JK. I got many 2015 things. But JK is one thing is baptized. Yeah, baptized. And JK, God help him. It's very good dream school. It come true. Yeah. And I got last year, got 3 times. My heart got problem. Yeah, it's nearly. But anytime God give me back. And thank you so much. 2005, I missed in 2005 many, many good things for all my family. And I hope this 2006, I'm more close for God. And I want God, touch me, our family. Good. Thank you.
I just want to thank God because I think for me it's probably started at Clear Sound, but I've struggled for a lot of years with irrational fear, which I couldn't even talk about because it was such a big thing to me. And I just feel that at Clear Sound, God started something there that has made me even in a position of talking about it because I couldn't even talk about it. And he met with me, and then it's also thanking God for the testimony of other people. Hearing Judy, and I shared that with Judy, it meant such a lot to me because it helped me to realise that it wasn't something that I needed to cope on my own with, that I couldn't cope on my own with it. And God met me in that. It sounds nothing, but it defined a lot of my life and affected a lot of my life. And it's hearing Judy, just how you still have to have some control and not allow yourself to go down a route that is not a good one. But it meant such a lot hearing her share that, and just met and other things along the way. Part of the development group, being in a place where I felt like I could be real. It's just so many things this year. I feel like I'm starting again.
Amen. Hallelujah.
I was going to say, you're not allowed 2 goes.
Oh, gosh. Okay. All right. I'm going to look at you. People who know me know that I'm quite a big talker when I'm on 1-on-1 or 2-on-2, but big groupie people, it's a bit hard. Okay. I want to thank God for everything he's done in my life in the last year. This last year was a big transition for me, and people that know what I've gone through will understand what I mean by that. And at the beginning of the year, I took the foundation course, and I ended up in hospital, so I didn't get to finish. And I was really disappointed. And but I also knew that I wasn't ready to get baptized. And then this year, end of last year, I took the foundation course again, and I was baptized, which I was so excited about. I haven't stopped smiling since, really. It's been amazing. But I want to thank God for my Lifeline family and my family that have been really supportive, and the people that have affected my life and have been there for me and my son, and especially for me, because I've needed so much support, and don't think I haven't appreciated everything that everyone has done for me, the little things and the big things, and making me smile. And Daniel had said at the baptism about a default setting. I have a default setting, or had a default setting, that I'm not, it's changed. And I thank God for that, because without him being in my life and showing me how much I'm loved and how much I'm worthy of being loved. And that's it really. I just want to say thank you for that.
As you all know, I've been to Sierra Leone a few times in the past, but I can honestly say that this last trip I went on is the best one I've ever been on. Now, obviously part of that was meeting the family again and meeting up with the new kids. But the most significant thing for me was getting involved with Jabba and working with him in the Better Tomorrow project, teaching life skills. And as I was teaching the different groups, I would find various members of the groups would come up and ask me questions about life and how I saw it, and what would be my take on their situation. And that was really exciting to be able to invest into those young people from a father's heart perspective. And the thing that really grabbed me most of all was on the last day, the day before I left, I was asked to speak at the morning assembly, and I know there's Muslims and Christians there, and so I was concerned about what do I speak about. And I was advised just to speak something motivational. So I actually used what we call the STEADY values, which is an acronym for serving the community, teamwork, excellence, accountability, and things like that. And the last one is integrity. And I used those and I mixed them up. And I basically said, what this country needs is this, this, and this, not what you've already got. And I said, you are the people that can make the difference, if you have a mind to, and if you have a desire to. And at the end of it, I was teaching a little later on in the IT section, and one of the girls came up to me and she said, could I have a copy of your speech, as she called it? And I said, yeah, sure. Well, why? She said, well, I'm involved with a group of young people across Freetown. We call ourselves Emerging Young Leaders. And she said, I want to use the content of your speech in our gatherings together. So I was gobsmacked to think that here I was, not thinking that I had anything really that great to give. And suddenly somebody hears what I have to say from God, because I really felt that was what he was saying. And they were going to take it to a much wider audience than I ever imagined. So, yeah.
First of all, my marriage is best on a banana as well, and it's fantastic. What really prompted me to come up here was that I want to thank God for all of the service that people do with my kids. Youth work is amazing. It's better than any I've ever experienced, and I want to honour the guys that serve in that. Isaac has flourished in it. He'll be very embarrassed that I've mentioned his name, but he really has, and it's been awesome. My other children are flourishing because of the sacrifice and work that people are doing, and so I thank you hugely for that. And the last thing I want to thank God for is his word and his faithfulness, that when myself and Annabelle turn to him, wherever we're at, he just drops in words, and I just thank God for his word to us.
I really want to thank God for my children, but particularly for the fact that God meets them even though they can't always speak to me in full sentences. But God has encountered them this year in so many different ways, and I'm so excited about that. And I'm really thankful that God changed my expectations, because I don't think I started this year with much of an understanding that kids that young could really experience God in the way that they have. But we've had so many stories this year. It's just really exciting. And the week before Christmas, we went to the dentist, and Asher had an accident at the beginning of the year, and he'd broken his 2 front teeth. And one of the teeth had died, and it had gone, like the nerve root had died, and it had gone dark. And the dentist was just saying, well, that'll be the way it was until it falls out. But it bothered Asher enough that he wanted to ask God for his tooth to be bright again. So he prayed for it for a while, for it to go bright or shiny, and we just forgot about it, to be honest, and went back to the dentist, and the dentist said, oh, he's got very healthy teeth. And so I questioned him about the dead tooth, and he looked at me and he said, but it's okay. And so then he started asking me if Asher was older than he had him down as, because he was saying with some kids a bit older it can redevelop. And he said that doesn't happen. And I said to the dentist, well, Asher's been asking God for his tooth to be shiny again. So the dentist said, well, it's a miracle. So Asher's now been telling our friends this week. So he was telling somebody yesterday off his own back, because he knows that that's what God does for him. So he's not just saying it as a story. He's saying that God does that because God loves me. And it's raising his faith, and it's very exciting to watch.